What's going on, my movie lovers and bud smokers, and welcome to another episode of 5 on It, a show where we do two things, smoke doobies and review movies. We are your hosts. I am Francisco. He is Sir Fraser. And on today's episode, we are reviewing a 1980s superhero classic directed by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. We are talking Batman, the original, 1989. But before we dive into that, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, help us build our audience. And Sir Fraser, what are you smoking on, man?
Man, back to the Toking Blunts, man. I'm smoking a wedding cake. It's a nice hybrid, a little indica leaning.
Yes, sir.
It's a combo of Triangle Kush and Animal Mints.
They should call it that Phil Jackson, that triangle.
Phil Jackson?
Yeah.
I like that.
I think he's got a weed head, too. I mean, he looks like it.
He seemed like he would be open to that. But yeah, man, we're reviewing the 1989 classic. And just to give a summary for those of you who have not seen this, there are spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, we don't do spoiler-free here.
Yeah. So the summary for this one is the Dark Knight of Gotham City begins his war on crime with his first major enemy being Jack Napier, a criminal who becomes the clownishly homicidal Joker. And this movie, man, obviously, you know, you mentioned some of the stars. Billy D. Williams is another one. He plays Harvey Dent. This movie was critically and commercially successful. It earned over $400 million at the box office.
Woo! And back then, 1989.
89, yeah.
I don't know what that'd be in today's money.
Yeah, no, for real. The movie earned an Academy Award for Best Art Direction, and Nicholson was nominated for a Golden Globe as well. Mm-hmm. You know, this movie script was influenced heavily by two of the graphic novels, The Killing Joke by Alan Moore. I highly recommend this. If you haven't read this, it's an excellent story. And also Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Those were two of the big influences on this script. It's important to also contextualize a lot of skepticism around this movie. Let's just call it what it was. Mm-hmm. Keaton was not well received. There was a lot of skepticism and public concern around uproar, really, among the comic book fans. I mean, up to this point, he really hadn't dabbled much in drama, let alone action movies. He was known for Beetlejuice, Mr. Mom. Of course, Night Shift.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have like the look really of a Batman.
So we thought.
he just at first granted, because when you're casting a superhero like this, especially even like a Superman, you're casting somebody to play two roles, whether it's a Bruce Wayne, Batman, Clark Kent, Superman. He has to play both roles. And granted, especially where that character has gone since then, I guess he wouldn't necessarily fit that traditional profile. You know, you want that strong jawline. You want him to be just buff as shit, chiseled out, because he is kicking ass and taking names. Mm-hmm. But to be the first one to like kind of set the tone, he doesn't fit that mold as far as especially where the character has gone. But to me, he might be my favorite Batman.
Well, yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. One thing I also want to point out, just to kind of contextualize, because I mean, this movie now is, I think, rightfully so highly regarded by many fans of Batman as really kind of setting the template. I think this movie significantly, in significant ways, deviated from the kind of cartoonish Adam West style and really leaned into a little bit more of a darker themes. I think that's something that Tim Burton really has done well, and he has that in his bag. I mean, this movie, when you think about Gotham, the way that it's depicted,
it looks dirty.
It looks dirty. I mean,
dirty.
it looks. I'm trying to think. I was reading an interview. They were talking about Tim Burton, and he said that given that he's dealing with really extreme characters, it made sense that the environment, the setting of the story reflected that.
Yeah.
And he talks about envisioning, Gotham as a New York gone mad. I mean, the city is grimy.
mean, from the first
this kind of Art Deco style that we see influence Batman the Animated Series. I know also heard that Fritz Lang's Metropolis was also a source of inspiration for just kind of crafting like this city that is, just has this really, really dark, seedy underbelly. That's almost, I mean, and we see that, right, with when we're introduced to Harvey Dent, the mayor, where they're trying to throw this 200th anniversary for the city of Gotham, and people are afraid because Gotham has like essentially been taken over by these gangsters,
and like that they mention how like no businesses want to be there or anything like that.
Yeah.
Everything, even
it's hemorrhaging. It's like financially hemorrhaging.
I was like when I was watching it, I was just like kind of making a mental note of like even when they're coming out of the courthouse, it's like everything looks kind of just gray and dirty. But then when they're putting up all like the signs for like 200th anniversary, it looks so bright and colorful. And it's like you just see like the color contrast of like how like the city's being depicted and when they put up just a normal sign, how like how offsetting it looks.
Well, I want to pivot immediately. I want to pivot shortly to that, but
quick note about the dirtiness of the city. I mean, you're introduced right out the rip from the two dudes that are talking about Batman. I like how it's the legend of Batman, and when you see him floating in the background already, but just the two dudes talking, you could tell this is a
no bat.
Yeah, like this is a grimy ass, fucking dirty ass city.
Well, I mean, immediately, we get this background shot of Gotham, and it's just looming, ominous looking city. It's very dark. And it's ugly, but also is imposing, and we get the experience from this out of town family navigating these dangerous streets. They just got out of a show or something, and then to your point, they get robbed, and that's when we meet Batman, and Batman gives us this great line where he says, "What are you?" And he's like,
"I'm Batman."
It gives him that great line, and
infamous.
So I originally I read that was supposed to be "I am the Dark Knight" or "I am the Night." It was going to be a little bit longer, but Michael Keaton improv that and shortened it to "I'm Batman," and thankfully he did that because that's just it's so much cleaner and neater, and it accomplishes exactly what you needed to do.
I mean, "I am the Night" or "I am the Dark Knight," it could sound fine in the right context because I don't know, like if you're saying like "I am the Night," like I don't know, that's it have to be written differently. Like there has to be more of a back and forth. But to pop up and just be like, "Who are you?" You can't just be like, "I am the Night." Like you got to kind of already be talking about the night in some sort of like context. So dropping down and just being like, "I'm Batman."
Yeah, perfect.
Well, perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Great landing.
Superhero landing.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I really love about this movie is I love Michael Keaton's depiction as Bruce Wayne because
then he had this light shot. Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. No.
It's easy, when we think about Bruce Wayne, we kind of get the Christian Bale version, right? The playboy, billionaire, very reckless, irresponsible, even. That's the version of him that I have, even though I grew up with this version, or that's my earliest memory of him. And this one, we get somebody who's very aloof. He seems very disconnected to his environment. He seems like he's mentally preoccupied thinking through a problem, thinking through something that only he really is privy to. That's kind of the vibe. What did you think of Bruce Wayne?
Well,
his depiction of him.
Honestly, when I was watching it, I thought he's arguably as maybe have done. I mean, I think it would probably be next to Christian Bale as far as like doing the best balance of Batman and Bruce Wayne. And I mean, I don't really need to see him as like a complete, just like a playboy or like, I don't want to say womanizer in that way, but I don't know, the way he portrayed it as just kind of like, even just like calm dude until he like goes off and sees the Joker into that hotel room. But I enjoyed the way the Michael Keaton played it.
Me too. It's very much, it's a little bit more subtle. Like there's like an air of mystery about him. And again, I use that word aloof. He seems very aloof in his settings. And I think something that was really interesting that I heard, somebody said that every movie is trying to be one of two movies. Mm-hmm. And this speaks to their legacy and impact on storytelling. Citizen Kane, every movie is either trying to be Citizen Kane or The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And I thought about that character, Citizen Kane, in relation to Bruce Wayne, where you have this really, really eccentric billionaire philanthropist who's just kind of shrouded in this mystery. And Vicky Vale is trying to understand what is going on. And through that, we get flashbacks of, we're essentially unraveling that mystery of what happened and why he is how he is with Vicky Vale.
Well, that's when they finally stumble on like the newspaper article.
Yeah,
they find
after
out
he
what happened.
dropped the roses in the alley where his parents were murdered.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really cool detail because they, you know, we meet Batman before we meet Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
technically, right?
Well, because I mean, that's essentially, that's I think what the almost like the metaphor of the character is. Like he becomes Batman is who he is. Bruce Wayne is the disguise now, and so I think that's how like a lot of people have to play the character in a way. Because on that night, that's when he becomes like who he is. But
when like Jack Napier, when we meet him,
I mean, he was like, I love Michael Keaton. I love him as an actor, and he might be my favorite Batman. But Jack Nicholson as the Joker, I think he's my favorite Joker. I mean, this movie like might be my favorite Batman and my favorite Joker in it. Because the way he portrays the Joker is kind of how I see the Joker. And I like that backstory. Cause even compared to like how Joaquin Phoenix in that movie, where it's more of a
Arthur Fleck one as much.
To me, it's like, that doesn't even have to be necessarily like, that could have just been like any backstory. And like, you could just turn him crazy and he goes on this rampage. Necessarily didn't have to be the Joker. But I guess that's where that character is in the comics. His origin story is, as he says, was it a multiple choice? And so every character you can maybe just have a different back, even like Jared Leto's or even Heath Ledger's, they all have a different origin story. Mm-hmm. But I personally like Jack Napier's gangster, fell into a vat of acid, and you can already tell that he's already a little bit nutty. And even the lieutenant makes a reference to it, just like, you're insane, you're a psycho.
You ain't got no future, Jack.
Oh my God, the way they deliver some of the lines is
and when he pushes his face and he pulls the gun, and his right-hand man, Jack's right-hand man, pulls his pistol on the corrupt Lieutenant Eckhart. He said, "Better be sure."
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
the line, he delivers his lines so well. One thing, I love Jack Napier's character. I love the way they styled him with these like beautiful suits. Everything from like that's another thing we have to talk about is just the styling of this movie. There's a reason they won Best Art Direction. I think that the actual fits that they used. The actual styling of the city itself. Anton Furst, he was the one that was the production designer. He also worked with, I believe he also worked with Tim Burton on, I think he may have worked on with him on Beetlejuice. No, I'm sorry. Burton wanted him on Beetlejuice, but he wasn't able to. I think he was committed to something else. Mm-hmm. But these two working together, they just did a great job in like creating this feel of Gotham. Mm-hmm. You know, and these villains, like the way that
I like even when they're breaking into
Axis Chemicals,
yeah, and they're all wearing the suits and everything, mm-hmm. and even when Jack is coming out of the shadows, like even cinematography on this movie is fantastic. But I got I got Dick Tracy vibes when you just see some of like the suits and everything. I don't know why I just thought about Dick Tracy like when I was watching this movie.
It makes sense though, because like I think like it does give the vibes like this is like the 40s.
Yeah, just like the gangster mobster. Yeah, exactly. You know? That's where I got those vibes from. But this is obviously way better than Dick Tracy ever was.
Yeah. Well, and Jack, like we learned his flaw. One of the flaw that leads to his demise is that he's fucking his boss's main squeeze.
Yeah, you see that when she kind of, she gives it away. She just walks in and she's talking to, I forget what the head honcho's name is. Can't think of it right now. But she comes in, she says something to oh boy, and she's walking past Jack, and then she gives him like a little look, and it's like,
Grissom. Sorry, Grissom. Yes,
Grissom. Yeah, Grissom.
Played by Jack Palance. Yeah,
and I'm just like, bitch, don't be looking over here.
She was eye fucking the shit out of him.
Yeah, for real.
But
that just set it off. I was like,
that definitely set it off. Because as there's a lot of pressure on Harvey Dent to prosecute Grisham and build a case against him. And Axis Chemicals is a huge, that could be huge in this case against Grissom. So Grissom wants to basically get rid of any evidence and kind of call it corporate espionage, which is why he sets Jack Napier up.
Well,
to go ahead and get rid of the files at Axis Chemicals, but he on the back end, Grissom phones his police contact
to set him up,
to sacrifice and set up Jack to get him killed, because he set him up over a woman,
over a woman, Jack.
Damn!
You must be insane.
Not Jack, but fuck. Dude, but like when they're all talking about it, and he's like, Grissom is like, "Hey, if Dent makes the connection with Axis and us, what can that do?" He's like, "Oh, then we're done. We're
up Shit's Creek.
Yeah, up Shit's Creek. We're dead and buried." And it's just like, oh, fuck. But then Jack almost kind of sealed his own fate. He should just shut his fucking mouth. Mm-hmm. But then he just he's over there playing with his cards. He's playing with the Joker, obviously foreshadowing. Mm-hmm. But then he's just like, well, if it was me, I would just break in, destroy all the evidence, or take whatever evidence that they have and bounce out. And then Grissom is like, hey, well, that sounds like a great idea. Why don't you go ahead and do that? And then Jack is like, you think you can get somebody else on the job? He's just like, dude, you're the one that came up with the idea, so you're the one that's going to have to do it. Mm-hmm. But as soon as like he gets set up by his boss, Batman shows up, and you want to say like him and Jack have the little this little one-off, and Jack falls over, but he catches on the railing. Mm-hmm. And Batman's grabbing him. It almost looks like he's kind of just like
considering
just saying fuck it.
Yeah,
I almost got that kind of feeling.
I almost did get that vibe. It was like he wasn't broken up about it. He didn't lose sleep over it.
Not at all.
But something that's very interesting too to point out is that up to this point, the police and the political leadership of Gotham have denied that there's any Batman. This is just folklore. This is just urban legend bullshit. And Knox, the reporter Knox, is one of the few who actually believes that there is a Batman. And this is the first time that Commissioner Gordon sees Batman for himself.
Yeah. Well, they give that reporter Knox a lot of shit. Like, is there like a 6-foot bat walking around here?
He thinks the moon landing was faked.
Yeah. That shit was fucking funny.
Yeah. So after Joker falls into this vat, man, oh boy, this story picks up a notch.
Well, that's when, like I said, I mentioned even about the cinematography, because when he falls into the vat, you see his hand all crippled coming out, looking all rigor mortis like. But then when he goes, I like how they pan over the camera and it just says surgery on the wall. That's just like kind of funny to me. But then they go in and you just see like the camera's just panning over all like the weird tools, and you just hear all the commotion coming out.
Mirror.
Yeah. And you just see the scene is getting shot from the back, and Joker's just pretty much in a chair, and you just see the silhouette. He's got bandages on his hands and on his face, and he's taking the bandages off, and he just starts his like mechanical laugh, and you just know things are just kind of on and popping, just because the way it's shot. Like, I just remember watching this when I was a kid, and just being like, kind of like freaked out just because you're in this weird basement dungeon doing this weird surgery. He just grabs the mirror, he smashes it, and so it's dark when he's walking out. And he goes up the stairs, and the way he's laughing, it's just great acting by Jack Nicholson, great body acting.
You understand that the nerves were completely severed, Mr. Napier. You see what I have to work with here.
I want to make a quick note of like even before he got turned to the Joker, when the lieutenant pulls the pistol on him, and he even like kind of has like a little bit of the laugh too, which is like he just kind of it's like a little chuckle, but it's just a slight laugh to foreshadow the Joker laugh that he's going to have. And it might be my favorite. Like I said,
his laugh is great. I mean, it's so
Jack Nicholson kills this role. Obviously, he's a Academy Award level actor.
Yeah.
And so you're getting a wonderful performance.
He's got a lot of range too. He was, a veteran at this point when he took this role. It was interesting too, reading about just how they created the mold for his face, because he's allergic to spearmint, I guess, which is commonly used in prosthetics.
Oh, really?
And so they had to work around that. And then you have like just the layers of makeup and the combination of chemicals, so that, there are scenes where after he's killed Grisham, and he's talking to the other like head of the families about him being in charge until Grisham returns after he's literally murdered him. Just the scene before, and he's like, "Why aren't we hearing this from Grisham?" And the other guy's like, "Yeah, and what's up with that stupid grin?" And then we cut to Jack, and he's smiling. He's just like, "Life's been good to me."
Why don't we hear this from Grissom?
Yeah. And what's with that stupid grin?
Life's been good to me.
What if we say no?
Well, Tony, nobody wants a war. If we can't do business, why, we'll just shake hands and that'll be it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Woo. Woo. Oh, I got a live one here.
And he's got this fucking stylish purple suit with like the orange shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he was dressed filthy.
Dude, that's why I like this movie so much, is because of like the style of it, of just how, it's the contrast between like the city and then when Joker comes in, how he plays off the colors. It's just fantastic for me. I just love it.
Yeah, and when he shakes his hand and he electrocutes the gangster and like literally fries him up, and he starts cracking up, and the guy said, one of the gangsters says, "You're crazy." He said, "Haven't you ever heard the healing power of laughter?"
Dude,
that's such a great scene, man, because like we obviously, like, he's been disfigured from falling in that vat of acid. His hair's dyed green. His skin has become bleached white. And he has these layers of makeup on. And the way that because of all the layers, right, he had the white just to be Joker. And then he applies flesh-colored makeup as he's meeting with these gangsters. And after he sends them out, he wipes his forehead, and there's chemicals on the actual handkerchief that would allow just the top layer of makeup to be removed, not the white layer underneath.
Yeah.
And I thought like that was a really cool detail, because that couldn't have been easy.
Yeah. Well, all the makeup is like, even like the effects of when he just evaporates the other mobster dude at the table when he gives him the handshake. For 1989, everything is, it's Tim Burton, so like he wants to do everything as practically as possible. And I think that's one of like the shining moments or shining stars of this movie, is it still holds up. Cause we just watched it, obviously, and everything, the only kind of, I want to say it was like effects, like the effects were bad, but it was a little bit on, like, I guess, corny side. Was obviously when like the Batmobile, not the Batmobile, but the little Batwing or whatever, goes up into the sky and you see it go to the moon.
Oh, I love that.
It's on a little bit on the corny side where I'm just like,
because it foreshadows the bat signal.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I see why they put it in, and I know the meaning behind it, but I'm just like, I'm like, okay, he just flew up.
You're just showing off.
I was like, okay, Bruce.
You know why I love that scene? Because I actually had a Batwing toy. The one that had like the trigger that you could shoot the missiles out of. I love that fucking toy. That shit was, man, the memorabilia from this era was just great too.
Dude, I want to say like, I think I had like some sort of Batman toy, like a Batmobile or some shit. I think everybody has some sort of Batman thing growing up.
I mean, we got to talk about the Batmobile. What'd you think?
Honestly, that when I think of the Batmobile, as much as I don't want to say it's called the Tumbler in Christian Bale's universe, this is the Batmobile I think of. Yeah. I think I just have so much nostalgia to it. I've seen this movie when I was young. I mean, I was born in 88, but I didn't watch this until, maybe probably like 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that. But that Batmobile is so iconic for me. Yeah. Even when they say like the shield, like shield up or whatever, you see all the shields going up on it. It's just, it hits so many strings for me.
Oh yeah. This movie, the nostalgia is so potent with this movie. I mean, there's a reason this movie and these actors are so beloved by fans of this franchise.
Dude, when he goes and he saves Vicky Vale and he's like, get in the car. And she's like, which car? I'm like, bitch, do you see how I'm dressed right now? I have a goddamn leather bat suit.
The BMW.
I know. I'm in that fucking Ford Focus over here. What are you talking about? I'm in this giant tank of a vehicle that you see right in front of you.
Yo, I love that scene too. I mean, okay, this is just one of my highlights we're going to talk about right now. So, the Joker becomes enamored by Vicky Vale. And he's aware that she's doing the Batman case, and so he tries to lay the pipe.
Yeah. I think he's obviously trying to kill two birds, one stone. Yeah, trying to lay the pipe a little bit, and he's trying to get a little info on the bats.
Yeah, he set her up basically pretending to be Bruce Wayne at the art museum. And when they
this might be my favorite scene.
This is such a highlight for me, gentlemen. Let's broaden our minds.
Bro, I love this song.
That Party Man track is so good. That beat slaps.
It hits that scene so well. Like,
gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence.
I kind of like this one, Bob. Leave it.
Dude, I just remember watching this as a kid and just, like I said, it's with like the play on the color scheme of coming in with all the bright paint and just
defacing all this art.
On the art and stuff. I used to think that was so cool watching that when I was
Joker was here, that scene when he writes it on the wall.
Yeah.
And then, when they get up there, and he talks about, wanting to work with her, she can be at the front, be at the vanguard with him as the first fully functional homicidal artist.
Yeah. When she's like, I'm meeting somebody here. And he's like, yeah, bitch, it's me.
And I love when she throws the water on him.
I was just about to say that.
It's like, I'm melting. And then she, you see, he turns around and he says, boo. And all of his makeup, again, going back to quality, like a nod to the makeup team, the top layer of the flesh-colored paint that he had rinsed off, and the white makeup, the white layer underneath was what remained. And that's such a great shot. That's an iconic shot. Yeah. From there, we get Bruce Wayne comes through the ceiling. That's such a cool shot.
Well, I said even like they give you some, I won't say like horror-esque, but it tiptoes in like the horror type of shots where it's like the boo when he shows his face and everything. It's just like, if you're on the younger side, like I put myself when I was younger and watching that, I just remember like that used to scare the shit out of me. And then just being like, not like in a bad way, but just like kind of freaking me out. Like, whoa, fuck.
Yeah.
Or just like him like breaking the mirror and walking up the stairs from the basement and how dark it was. It's like, obviously basements are already scary as shit. It's like this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
This movie does a good job of like with the Joker of showing you how like funny he could be, but also how like menacing and how scary he could also be, which I think that's why I like him as far as my favorite Joker.
He gets a lot of screen time as Joker, as the villain. I mean, he gets more screen time. I mean, this is a knock that I've heard about this movie from some, is that the Joker overshadows Batman.
I mean, it's Jack Nicholson.
You know he's going to get top billing, and he insisted he'd get top billing.
I mean, dude, he's coming off The Shining and One Flew Over the
He's a
Cuckoo's
legend
Nest.
at this point. Like,
Yeah.
He could probably ask for damn near whatever he wanted. But to your point about the menacing aspect, something that we got to touch on that's fundamental to this story is that the Joker is using poison from Axe's chemicals, and he's putting in the products, cosmetic products, deodorant, mascara, all these products. Yeah. And in combination, they're killing people when applied. And that scene where he goes there, he's like, "Have you shipped 1 million of those things?" He said, "Yes, sir. We're going to be send them out a whole new door." And it's just such a great scene. And then from there, we pivot immediately. And this is another highlight for me. We pivot to the news segment where it's been revealed to the news that two actresses or two supermodels have died. And one of the anchors, after getting makeup applied, ends up falling down. And we see she's like cracking up during the news segment. And when we get the close up on her face and the smile like twitching and like finalizing, it's so fucking creepy. Yeah. And then we hear Joker products. Yeah. They said Smilex.
It wasn't like Joker X or
Smilex.
Smilex.
He's let's go to our blind taste test. He's been using brand X.
Yeah, that's right. That's the name I'm thinking of.
Where's it coming from?
I don't know.
Uh-oh. You don't look happy. He's been using brand X. But with new Joker brand, I get again, and again.
That's what I was talking about. Like they don't go full on horror, but it's just so dark, creepy and dark. You're like, fuck, man.
Love that Joker.
That's what I'm also thinking of. Like, you just see them sitting there and you just see just the mouth moving.
And the superimposed lips.
Yeah.
Yo, that scene is one of my favorites in that whole movie. And one of my favorite, probably Tim Burton moments. It's just so eerie and effective. And you see just how insane he is. Yeah. That was kind of a big part of his plot. And I mean, where do we want to go from here? I mean, there's a lot of great things to talk about.
Yeah, well, one thing also I was going to bring up was because when he's doing like the brand X and everything, it's like the commercial next, or I won't say maybe the next time, but another time you see him like doing another commercial or he's on screen talking to the people, is when they have like the news anchor and then they have him, but he's got like the regular makeup on.
No, they have no makeup on.
And like the way he's just like moving them, because they start talking like, oh, like you're a murderer or something. He just kind of like moves them out the way, like on the screen. It's just like a funny nod. And he's just like talking to the people like, I'm going to be giving away $20 million in cash. And let's see if I've taken my makeup off. Let's see if you can. Well, and it's like, Jack, come on now, buddy.
Well, something I do again want to acknowledge about this movie and its legacy. I totally see similarities with that moment in this movie with the way the Joker called out Batman on that videotape in The Dark Knight. Yeah. Totally see the influence there. I love that scene, right, where with the Joker, that's another really great scene, right, where he cuts out the mayor and basically talks about throwing away this money. Mm-hmm. And then, another scene I'm trying to recall where this happened, but when Bruce goes to Vicky Vale he's been avoiding her, and he goes to basically tell her, I'm Batman. She is, they're interrupted by guess who? That's a really great scene. It delivers one of my favorite lines in this entire movie, from Jack Nicholson, which is,
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
That's something that happens also, in the confrontation between Bruce Wayne and the Joker. And, what do you think about the scene? I want to hear what your thoughts on that one.
Before I get to that scene real quick, I want to make a note of you're talking about the parallel between this and like The Dark Knight or inspiration. Another scene I could tell maybe was like inspiration maybe for The Dark Knight was like the table with the other gangsters, because it was like the Joker meeting the other gangsters, let them know kind of what's going on. They have that scene as well in The Dark Knight. It's a little bit more brutal in the dark. Well, I don't know, because he does a death in both of those.
Yeah.
He whether it's the pencil or like the handshake. But those are definitely another parallel between those movies.
Well, another parallel, speaking of pen, is when Jack Napier kills the gangster in front of like those steps with the pen, and he says, "The pen is truly mightier."
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
So, I mean, there's another, definitely, I can see another influence on The Dark Knight.
Exactly. But with that scene, when Bruce goes over there to, like you said, to come clean about who he is because he likes her. He does care about Vicky Vale. He doesn't want to lie to her. But Batman, or Michael Keaton, however you want to look at it, Bruce, he delivers a couple of little quick one-liners, whether it's the what was that line I just mentioned earlier? I just drew a blank.
Keaton?
Yeah.
Wanna get nuts?
Oh no, it's not. I don't think it's the Let's Get Nuts. He said something earlier. I just slipped right out of my brain. But he does another line of the how much do you weigh? Oh, about 108.
Oh yeah.
And then he says like,
really?
I think you're a little more than 108.
It's like, really?
And then like it's that line, and then when he goes in and he's just like, why don't you just sit down and just shut up for a second? I got something to tell you.
Yeah. The look on her face too. She's like,
dude. And then you get into like I said, well, there's one infamous line delivered by the Joker, but then once Bruce comes around the corner and they're having like their first face to face, dude, when he delivers, he's pretty much like he's telling Jack a little bit about himself. But then he just breaks the fucking mirror, breaks the glass, and delivers a forever meme, forever gif, forever whatever you want to call it. But do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
let's get nuts.
I'm like, that's pure Michael Keaton too. Like I could definitely see him in that. Like he just let loose a little bit
for sure.
But that's just like, it's a great scene between like the little standoff between those two characters.
Well, I mean, for me, dude, the scene that I gotta acknowledge is the very scene at the end, right after Jack has kind of challenged Batman to show himself, and he's offered to give 20 mil in, was it 20 mil or 200 mil?
20 mil.
20 mil in free cash away.
Yeah.
I think that was like a really powerful scene too, because he was so cynical in using that money because he knew how greedy the people of Gotham are.
Yeah.
And that's something that Knox mentions. But when we see them riding the float and we see the balloons and we hear Prince's party, WXYZ. Bro, that song is so perfect for that moment.
I mean, this this album was nominated for a Grammy.
Yep.
Or not, maybe not best. No, not this album, but the song "Party Man" was nominated for best song.
Okay.
It says 1990 nominated best song written specifically for a motion picture or television song "Party Man," and it was also a nominee. The score as well by Danny Elfman, fucking iconic. I don't know if there's a better Batman score or any other Batman score that I personally think of besides like when you hear that first beginning, right at the beginning of the movie or at the end of it.
Well, I mean,
the Danny Elfman score is fantastic.
Well, another thing to mention is that Prince's track Bat Dance. That was his first #1 single since 1986's Kiss.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
So, I mean, that was there were some big songs on this album for him. But yeah, I mean, that scene though, where, you know, he's basically challenged Batman, and we see, we hear him saying, you know, after the music starts, he said, "Hubba, hubba, hubba. Who do you love? Who do you trust?" And, you know, he's, we see Batman in the bat ship, fly by. And, then, you know, he delivers that really funny line. He said, he refers to the Gotham citizens as the little people.
Yeah.
He said, "Now that I rid you of your meaningless lives, your pointless lives." Dude. And they release the gas, and you see the close up on these balloons as they're swelling. That's such a great scene, dude.
Whether it's like I said, to me, like the scenes, obviously I want to go back and rewatch the movie because of the podcast, but there are certain scenes that were just specifically like embedded into my brain. And this was like the parade scene is easily one of like the scenes for me that has like stayed with me since I watched it as a kid. So it's super iconic.
Oh yeah, where he's dancing too on top of the float.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's everything. Like I said,
the style of
Tim Burton is so great with it, and doesn't like overdo it. Like it really feels like it really immerses you. Whether it's like it feels like a different place, like it feels like almost like a comic book movie.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. I think it does a great job of leaning into the comic books in terms of like the visuals.
Yeah,
but also
making it feel like a real place.
It gives you a more mature version because of just like the dark themes of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still balanced because it's not like where The Dark Knight and Christopher Nolan, like that definitely feels like more realistic of a place that they're going more grounded. But Tim Burton, you know, leans into like the comic book aspect, but also not, like you said, overdoing it, where it still feels like a real place.
No, definitely does.
But like when Batman cuts the fucking balloons, and he's just like, "My balloons," and he just hops off his float, just "My balloons."
Like he stole my balloons.
Who told me he would have one of them things up there?
Those are my balloons.
He stole my balloons! Why didn't somebody tell me that he had one of those things?
Bob? Gun.
Oh yeah,
the lines Jack Nicholson delivers. I wonder if he's an improv type of guy.
I'm sure I remember reading he did some improv for this.
Really?
But yeah, that scene is great. And when we see, what's that?
I was like, then he just kills his
right hand
man for the whole movie because he's pissed off.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously,
gonna need a moment alone, boys.
Yeah, I need a number two alone.
Like shooting the guns, getting the crowd out.
It shows you how
crowd control.
Shows you how crazy he is. Like continues, like he just killed his right hand man, the one that's been rocking with him even before he made the transformation. And
he's insane.
But then he's like, "We need a minute or two alone, boys." Fucking funny.
And when Batman is heading towards him, we see you know, he has the Joker in the scopes, and the Joker very much reminiscent of Heath Ledger's Joker, right?
Yeah.
That stare down. He's like standing right there,
yeah,
arms wide, and Batman misses him with every damn thing. I don't know how.
Well, you know, he's got his code.
That bruh, no, he was shooting missiles at him. He was trying to kill him.
Oh, bro, when Joker pulls out that big gat,
oh my god, that pistola.
That's when then he just shoots it one time, a big old like musket-esque, and he just gets kicked back like, whoa, shit,
bro.
That
scene was so absurd. I love that scene though. It's just so iconic.
It works for me.
Pulls him out of his plaid pants.
Yeah. See, like when I think of Joker, I know we all love Heath Ledger, we all love Dark Knight and everything, but Jack Nicholson, the costume, the playfulness.
Yeah.
It really worked for me. This is my Joker, in my opinion.
Well, you know,
nothing against Heath Ledger. It's just
he's great.
It's a different Joker. To me, they're neck and neck.
They're both iconic. I mean, to be fair, like, I mean, everything from the first shot we see of Heath Ledger's Joker, where he has the mask in his hand and they're about to rob the bank. Like, that's, dude, like, it's so iconic. I mean, I have nothing but respect for Heath Ledger's Joker.
To me, they're shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
And then Joaquin Phoenix is just a little bit below that for me because it's just...
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of, like, the movie. It's a good movie, but, like, it definitely falls a little short for me personally.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But, and then Jared Leto is, like, I don't know, a little bit... He kind of got a bad rep because he maybe should have got a little bit more...
He's third tier. Let's just
I don't want to shit on him or anything. And then I don't know about Cesar Romero. That's way before my time.
Well, you know, something I did want to bring up. It's not a con for me, but I do understand why it's a con for some. Is that we learned that through flashbacks that Jack Napier, when he says, "Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?" He said, "That's just something I ask all my prey." That recalls he was the gunman that robbed and murdered Bruce's parents. Yeah. And some people thought that was a stretch, that was a leap. We didn't need that. Mm-hmm. What did you think about that? I understand that criticism. I actually,
that was like,
what are the odds?
Okay. Yeah, that was my only, I want to say maybe con of this movie, like real strong con, because I go back to like what we said about New Jack City.
Yep.
And about like how like we didn't need that.
Scotty's mom, yeah.
And because like, what are the odds of that happening? And them having this interaction like all these years later, like, come on now. And so like that just, I don't know, like I guess if it works for people, it works for people. But to me, that's kind of a stretch that we really didn't need. Mm-hmm. I think that's just kind of throwing a little extra shit on top. But yeah. If it's a plus or a minus, I would have to throw that one into the minus category because you didn't need it. It's a bit of a stretch, but it is what it is.
No, I definitely know what you mean.
What about you? Did you like it?
I didn't. I understand the criticism of it. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I did love that line.
It's a good line.
It's such a great line. So I was like, I suffer it because it gives me that great line.
Yeah.
Because without that, I don't know how else we could have gotten in a different circumstance, I guess. But the way that they tied it into that, yeah.
But you know what? What one funny thing about this is because when Bruce actually says, let's get nuts, you're kind of thinking like, but then Jack hits him with like he pulls out the gun and he delivers like the line to him, and Bruce just kind of looks at him like, what? And they're like, dude, you were just about to get crazy with this dude. You smashed the goddamn glass. You're fucking going off in the room. You don't know what the hell is fucking going on right now. But he delivers Dance Under the Pale Moonlight, and that just made Bruce just be like a little bit confused.
If we were talking about this movie, where would you put this as far as your favorite Batmans? That's something I was thinking about with the legacy side of things. Tell me what you think.
Well, to me,
top three?
Honestly, I want to say it is because to me, it's between this. I mean, I do like Batman Returns a lot too. I do like Penguin.
It is a really good movie.
I do like Catwoman is iconic as shit. But to me, my favorite Batman is this, Dark Knight, and honestly, the newest one with Robert Pattinson.
Oh wow, this is number one for you.
No, I'm not. That wasn't in any order yet.
Oh,
I'm just saying those are my three, and then so like, is this top three for me? Yeah, this is definitely a top three Batman movie.
Definitely for me. I probably have it too.
Man, it's between this and Dark Knight. Fuck it. I'm gonna put this as my favorite Batman.
Say it with your chest, little ass nigga.
Dude, all right, man.
I'm gonna stand on it. Fuck it. I'm gonna put this over. Like, Dark Knight is maybe it's a better movie. Like, I would have to like put my unbiasedness aside. But like my favorite Batman, like if I just had to take one Batman,
that's a good distinction. I feel you on that. I do.
If I had to take one Batman where I'm just like, I want to just keep rewatching this and have fun with it, I have a little bit more fun with this movie because the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight is a lot more serious.
It doesn't balance humor in the same.
Yeah, the Jokers are different. I have a little bit more fun with this Joker. Nothing against Heath Ledger. Obviously, I don't want to like bring any of the pitchforks coming at me or anything like that. But this is I will ask for, because to me, having a favorite and having like the best, like, because you have to put unbiasedness to the side.
Yeah,
Dark Knight is like the better made movie, but I have more fun with this movie.
Yeah, no, I feel you got me rethinking my order. I was gonna say I got Dark Knight because I do love dark shit, and this is a dark movie. I got this is number 2. I don't know what my third one is, but let me tell you this. I'll do an honorary mention. One of my favorite Batman movies is the actual animated one, Mask of the Phantasm.
That's a good one too.
That is an incredible movie.
Well, the iconic voice.
You got Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill as Joker. It's also a bit of a Joker origin story, and it leans into his background as a gangster or a gangster enforcer. Mm-hmm. So like, mob enforcer. So like, that was like a really cool movie. But yeah, dude, I mean, this movie, it casts such a large shadow over it, and it's so beloved for many reasons, many great reasons. But it casts a shadow on everyone who stepped into that suit after him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he nailed the voice. I think he had the look. I think that if I were to... the thing that I think he lacks, and this is just maybe just came with the evolution of action here at superhero movies, period, is he lacks the physicality of, certainly Christian Bale, but Ben Affleck as well. He lacks the kind of physicality, but I think some of that was also limitations based on the suit, because I think that created limitations for the actors. I mean, hell, the mask was glued on.
And honestly,
you know what I mean?
I want to just even make a, not even quick, but he was able to even come back as Batman in the more recent Flash. I know that got his own little controversy and shit behind it, but if people haven't seen Michael Keaton as like the Flash, or not Michael Keaton as the Flash, if you want to see Michael Keaton more recently as Batman, then you need to check out the Flash that just came out maybe like a year or so ago. It's got his like weird controversy and shit, but Michael Keaton is able to be put in a suit that's a lot more up to date. So he's able to move around a lot more. He's able to kick ass a lot more. He's given like some great action scenes in that movie. So even when people think like, oh, can Michael Keaton bring the physicality and all that type of stuff? Like, I can hear you. He ain't Buff Bagwell 2000. That's a WCW reference. But he's able to get the job done. Watch him in the Flash. He is kicking ass, taking names. Mm-hmm. So to me, he does bring the physicality. You don't have to be you don't have to have all the buff muscles and all like that type of shit to bring physicality. And to me, that's why like Michael Keaton was already personally maybe my favorite Batman, and then seeing him more up to date and more up to date suit, and seeing him how well he would have been even against like Kryptonians and shit, and seeing him still do his thing. Mm-hmm. To me, he may have planted his flag firmly as my favorite Batman.
No, I hear you on that. I think he has the look. I'm a big fan of this Batman and this movie and this entire, just the team, the crew did a great job. With that said, what do you think of score wise? Should this make sense to pivot to scores?
Yeah, because honestly, I can't think of much. I think we've
covered a lot.
I said everything I want to say about my pros. Soundtrack, cinematography. Oh, one quick little line. It was about the scene also, like when they have their first standoff.
Oh yeah.
A small line, maybe nobody I've caught, but I thought like this was just like a note to like, cause they always say like, I think I've heard like people talk about how Batman, Joker, they're obviously one and they're the same almost, different sides of the same coin, or two sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. And so when Bruce comes in, he just kind of, obviously he's feeling like a little nervous, maybe because he's about to reveal his secret. But he says, oh, you got lots of space here, about Vicky's apartment. And Joker comes in and he says the exact same thing when he walks in.
Oh, yeah.
There's just lots of space here. And so I was like, maybe that's just a nod that the writers made, that these two characters are more similar than they may obviously appear to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also...
I may be thinking a little bit too deep into it, but...
Well, I think also... I think that, the Joker's in your face, like, over the top flamboyance is like really well balanced by the mysterious and aloof Bruce Wayne / Batman, right? Yeah. I think that and it's interesting that the connective thread between them is like their traumatic origin. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool. I mean, this movie hits a lot of high notes for me. Mm-hmm. I was just thinking about from a score standpoint, I'm feeling a strong 4.5. I love this movie. It's something that I'll go back to. I can watch this whenever it comes on at any point, really, because there's just so much fun and also just like entertainment packed into this movie. Mm-hmm. I think that it set up this movie demonstrated to production houses what success in this genre could look like.
Yeah. I think I would firmly agree with you, man.
Man, this is like another week and another day,
bro. Like, I thought we're always like pretty similar. That's what I thought. Like maybe I don't know, like what movie we could get where we would be vastly different.
Yeah. No, you probably would be like 4.5. I probably would be more around the 4-ish.
Well, maybe we could think of something where we're like, where I say like opposite. 2.5 and you're like 4. Like it have to be something crazy. Oh, man. But my score is going to be 4.5 as well. I absolutely love this movie. It has a lot of nostalgia for me. You're getting a legendary performance by the Joker, in my opinion, from Jack Nicholson. You're getting a legendary score from Danny Elfman. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, that is the Batman score. Legendary soundtrack by Prince with some great songs on that.
Oh yeah. Timeless.
To me, like, yeah, if this ever comes on, like even like cable, whether I have YouTube TV or not, I'll always like turn it on. I'll always like see what part of the movie it's at, and like, at least watch it until the commercial break.
No, I feel you on that.
So yeah, 4.5 from me.
A lot of rewatchability.
Yeah, it doesn't quite hit the 5-star. Like I said, I've only threw a couple of movies in that 5-star pool.
Damn it, it's close.
But damn it, it dances in there, but not quite.
Yeah. Well, that's today's episode, folks. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.